I didn't know why I didn't want to go home for the holidays until I saw what was already waiting for me. Welcome to Very Rich Stories, where you will see stories of betrayal and secrets and twists in real life. And now, Nobody Santa, Holiday Warfare Edition. They were trying to make me Santa Claus. I'm Jordan. I am a 30-year-old attorney living in Boston, Massachusetts. I am from a large family, mom, dad, 2 older brothers, and 2 younger sisters from Chesapeake, Virginia. I love the Tidewater area of Virginia, but for some reason, I didn't want to go home for the holidays, but I didn't really know why. Not because I was mad, not because of a fight, not because anyone had said or done anything wrong. I just didn't want to go. And that was the part I couldn't explain to anyone. People kept asking, "Why wouldn't you go home? It's family. It's just a few days. You'll regret it if you don't go." I didn't have a dramatic answer. All I knew was this strange resistance sitting in my chest, quiet, steady, and persistent. No panic, no fear, just pressure. Like something was waiting for me there. Truthfully, I didn't want to go and didn't even understand it myself until I got there and saw what was already waiting for me. I tried to ignore it. I told myself I was being dramatic, told myself everyone feels weird about family during the holidays, told myself I was overthinking. I worried that I was being too selfish, like that year I didn't go Christmas shopping, didn't buy anyone a gift. But then when I woke up on Christmas morning and realized I was going home, I didn't have anything for anyone, not even mom and dad. So I stopped at the 7-Eleven to see what they had. They had nothing. So I bought nothing there, and I took nothing home. That was a bad year, gift-wise. I think that year followed the year I bought well-thought-out gifts for everyone, and then I overheard several of them in a room with the door shut comparing, "What did Uncle Jordan get you?" All I got was, "That kind of did it for me." But then they were kids. Well, not really kids. They were teenagers and should have been a little more appreciative. I had put a lot of time into choosing the exact right gift for everyone. Well, it's Christmas time again, and I'm expected, so I booked the ticket. I packed light. Too light, honestly. A small bag, a flexible return date. I didn't realize it at the time, but part of me had already decided, if this feels wrong, I'm leaving. The house looked the same, evoking feelings of comfort and nostalgia. Same decorations, same smells, cinnamon and sweet things coming from Mama's kitchen. Dad was drinking coffee, black, strong. Grandma grabbed me for a big hug. Sweet Grandma, she's looking good, but smaller, shorter, or I'm bigger or taller. Same traditions. The tree was up, holiday music playing, Marvin Gaye snowflakes. Dad trying to get Mom to stop cooking for a minute and dance with him. Laughter in the background, brothers and their wives, sisters and their husbands, all their kids, nieces and nephews, everyone was there. Mom looked behind me and said, "Did you bring anyone?" Like who, Mom? She asked me this every time I saw her. Like a wife, Jordan? "Did you bring us a wife?" "Not yet, Mom. I'm only 30. Give me a little more time." "Oh, Nancy, leave the boy alone. He's got plenty of time," grumbled Dad. Not as a payoff, but I did this often. I slipped Dad an envelope with a check in it for him and Mom written in both their names. Dad smiled sheepishly. He loved receiving money and tucked it away in his shirt pocket before everyone in the house saw it. Those of you from big families know that when the wallet opens, whoever sees it open believe that it is open for them. And that is not always the case. But it was nice to be home, in familiar surroundings with Mom and Dad and Grandma. "Hey," I said, "where are those brothers and sisters of mine?" Mom pointed to the basement. They were making quite some noise down there and having a good time. Dad yelled, "Hey David, Lewis, Megan, Kyla, your brother is here." Still young and spry in late 20s and early 30s, they bounded upstairs, and we greeted one another. But after the greetings, something felt off. They each were looking at me with quiet expectancy. I greeted them, but they were kind of quiet. I visited with them and then tossed the football in the cold with my nephews, admired the new clothes and hairstyles on my niece's new dolls, talked gaming consoles with the kids, and felt guilt-tripped into handing all of them some cash to get whatever they wanted for Christmas from Uncle Jordan. The kids were elated, exhausted, but starving. We all finally sat down for dinner. Conversations turned to success stories and business, and comments on YouTube and Instagram stories that my siblings had been posting all year. Some cousins stopped by to have some of Grandma's world-famous red velvet cake, and the conversation really turned to business and money and investments. I excused myself from the table, but when I came back, conversations paused when I entered the room. Smiles lingered a second too long. Questions came that sounded casual, but felt investigative. How long are you staying? Are you busy these days? Still doing well? It felt like I'd walked into the last scene of a movie I hadn't seen. I dismissed it thinking, this must be how conversations go when family or people haven't seen each other for a while. Everyone else already knew the plot. That night, I noticed something else. Phones. Everyone had their phone out. Photos were staged, angles adjusted, smiles practiced. They were posting in real time. Family units all were in matching pajamas. How cute. That wasn't anything I aspired to, but it was cute. Holiday captions, grateful posts about an amazing year. And that's when something clicked. From time to time throughout the year, I had seen their posts. New ventures, big announcements, celebrations, God is good captions. But standing there, watching them move, I realized something unsettling. None of what they had been posting had substance. They had faith, but where was the substance of their faith? Their businesses weren't running. Who am I kidding? Some of these businesses hadn't even started. The projects weren't finished. The wins weren't finalized. They weren't celebrating progress. They were previewing a future that required something or someone. Over the next day, the year, the real year in the Facebook, Instagram, social media, and online year started summarizing itself. A cousin casually mentioned a plan I was never told about, but somehow I was included in it. Financially, an aunt asked about resources I never offered. For some reason, she just assumed I would say yes to her opening a bakery and coffee shop. This aunt cannot cook or bake, so this would be a half-baked investment that I would not make. A sibling referenced decisions that had already been made. About me. All these business ideas that required monetary funding or investments or co-signing were all about me. I wasn't late to the conversation. I was the conversation. And then it hit me. Their online posts all year, although I paid little attention to them until I got home and was in the company of my sibs and other relatives, these posts weren't lies. They were placeholders. They had already told the internet the story. They were just waiting on me to make it true. That's when I stopped and thought, dang, they were trying to make me Santa Claus. Not a guest, not family, not someone coming home to visit parents and see relatives, not someone coming home to rest, but instead a provider, a connector, an investor, a finisher. Santa doesn't get invited to relax. Santa gets invited to deliver. And suddenly the resistance, why I really didn't want to come home for the holidays, began to make sense. My brother had stepped to me and said, confidentially, that he had a business plan, and for only $300,000 he could get the idea off the ground. I told him I couldn't afford that, but maybe write up a business plan and go to a bank for that kind of startup capital. He said, but bro, you're the one who finished college and you have that good job. Our sister Barb overheard and joined in a whisper. She had a business idea too. Odd, I thought to myself. Neither of these two had ever studied business, but they both wanted to start a business. I simply, calmly asked them, then why did you all turn down college when Mom and Dad offered? Why didn't you go to college and study business and prepare for your future? They both, in their own way, said, because you did. You're the successful brother, so you should help us. By this time, Dave and Lewis and Megan had joined in, and we whispered in our little sibling huddle so Mom and Dad and Grandma wouldn't hear. Bros, sisters, I said to them all, there is no rule that there can only be one successful person or one college graduate in a family. Why can't Mom and Dad have 5 successful children? Why can't we all be successful? They hemmed and hawed and then summarized it with, you went to school, so we didn't have to. So now you can help us. What? I exclaimed to them. What does that even mean? Well, said Megan, if at least one of us went, then that person could help everyone else. Megan, Lewis, I said, looking each of them in the eye. Mom and Dad, 2 people work together to raise first one of us, then the other, and the rest. 2 people take care of themselves and then raise another. It is not one person taking care of two siblings, helping both parents, helping aunts and uncles and all the other relatives and friends. Can you see how that is not sustainable? If one person is the bank and the bank fails, then everyone fails. They looked shocked, like I was a villain or something, for not draining my bank accounts, for not funding retirement accounts, for not handing them the money I was saving for a house, my future, a marriage, and my own family, so they could attempt something that they had no training in. They kept trying to convince me. I just looked like I was listening, but I really wasn't. Because once you see it, you don't need to announce, argue about it, or even wrestle with it. I realized why the plans were vague, why no one had details, why my name kept coming up in sentences that ended with silence. They weren't asking yet. They were waiting. Waiting for the right moment. Waiting for the holiday spirit. Waiting for guilt to soften my boundaries. The morning after the holiday, I packed my bag. Early. I said I wasn't feeling well, said work was calling, said I needed rest. I said anything. I created no drama, just clarity. Because if I stayed, I wouldn't be celebrating. I'd be co-signing a lie. And I wasn't about to spend Christmas delivering gifts I never agreed to buy. On the way home, I finally understood something. That resistance that I felt to going home again wasn't fear. It wasn't even selfishness. It was protection. I didn't go home for peace. I went home for confirmation. Sometimes the warfare isn't loud. Sometimes it's festive. Sometimes it wears matching pajamas. Sometimes it smiles for the camera. Many hopes and aspirations are posted online every day. It would be great if they came true, but the holiday newsletter that is a post here and another there all year long, if it's not true, it's just not true. I love my family, but sometimes the victory is leaving before you become the proof. The victory is not being forced into a suit that isn't yours to wear, and it doesn't even fit you. It is not your place or position. Next year, if I don't feel like going home for the holidays, I'll listen, because I'm nobody's Santa Claus. Thank you for watching another original family drama on Very Rich Stories. Please join our family and subscribe. Share this to your friends and leave a comment.